Okay, so this is a letter from a guy I met on Puttyverse, Emily Wapnick's multi-potentialite society. So I'm just going to read this and my responses. Darren said, part of the challenge here for me is how best to respond. I like the creativity behind the ideas here, and I would really love to see new and different paradigms emerge in terms of online interactions. Question 1. For your Explore Network idea, it sounds primarily like you are describing an immersive social network that is something roughly in the vein of the metaverse or some such. That is a VR, AR game design in terms of some aspects of user interaction and mechanic. Am I understanding this properly? My impression from what you've described as minimal, the minimal applies to the social interaction in some sense. At the same time, it seems like you are describing a fairly immersive experience in terms of using the software. That is, there is probably a high level of graphic design effort required, as well as probably a lot more effort going into the mechanics of navigating your virtual space, as well as defining interaction mechanics and universe as in outer space structure. Okay, so my first answer is this is not a VR or AR project. It will all happen within a PC screen user interface. The goal is for the outer space simulation to be immersive, yes, and the mechanics, but the minimalism as simplicity will be in the process of the interactions. Mute colonists, tiny profiles, simple gestures, i.e. a simplified kind of sign language, plus props and costumes for the theater performances, which become data logs to leave behind on colonized planets. Even after this destruction of those planets, they just float in the same space. Second question, for either of the ideas, do you envision controller hardware as part of how the control scheme software interaction and or player interaction occurs? Hardware requirements typically mean using open source available hardware already on the market or some integration into an already established hardware market. While 3D printing can be a way to get from open source to hardware, control mechanisms, buttons, sensors, etc. need to be integrated, which means potentially very elaborate design and assembly requirements. My answer there was no, there will be no proprietary hardware. It's purely a software project. Observations. Both ideas at a certain point make me think of Little Big Planet. This is a PlayStation game first released with PS3, which has a Sackboy cloth character, which has an enormous catalog of costumes and decorations that players can collect and then dress their character with. My kids spend lots of time simply dressing and decorating the characters in this game while not really playing at all. They also spent a lot of time level building, as the game has sandbox level building tools integrated into the game itself. While not exactly the same, your descriptions made me think of this as an example of what you might be aiming towards. That is the ability to, at some level, custom design, dress, and otherwise decorate characters. So my answer to that was I gravitated towards what Media Molecule were doing, first with LBP, perhaps for the very reason that we, them and I, are interested in some of the same things. And then with Dreams on PS4, which I thought was just amazing as a design system and art product, and also as a community project. Second observation, there are a number of ways to construct space environments, universes. There are also a number of ways to construct customizable character designs and dynamics. Generally, this seems to me like it would be two different engine designs and game mechanic concepts. While that certainly is possible, it adds to the complexity of how your world works. Third observation, consider breaking down what you are after into essential technical components. Search for examples of each or things that achieve similar goals. Make a list of each of these and look into open source versions of each aspect. Also look into what these examples do and do not do to get a feel for how far off current software efforts are from being adaptable to your ends. For example, immersive social media. Second Life is a commercial example. Open Simulator would be an open source example. Open universe space games, Pioneer, for example, or Homeworld. Dress-up games, character creation games, no great examples come to mind. Sandbox MMO games, Biomes also appears to have costumes abilities, not sure how customizable characters are. Gesture interfaces, Gesto, OpenMG. That's the first part to this ladder. So I'll continue in the next video.